Students, in today's lecture we will cover up the numericals on vapor compression system. I have earlier in my earlier lecture I have explained you that how the vapor compression system used to work and what are the basic components of vapor compression system are there. And as per the referred book which we are referring the R.S. Khurmi, we will cover up these 5 cases because I have told you in the initial 4 cases, means from this to this, we are using the same common formula, that is H1 minus HF3, that is the refrigerating effect upon compressor work. Compressor is placed between 1 and 2, that is why the compressor work is H1 minus H2. For the first 4 cases we will be using this common formula, and for last one, because there is subcooling over there, but that's why due to subcooling the HF3 will change and the refrigerant will be cooled below HF3, so that's why a little bit slight change will be there. Some delta T will be subtracted, means delta H will be subtracted from this HF3, and new HF3 means this enthalpy will be obtained. I will explain you that in this lecture I will explain you that how to obtain the enthalpy, entropy and specific volume, means all the specific data from the table, how to see the table of refrigerant, as well as how to solve the numericals also. Just a brief introduction I would like to give that when we go through a vapor compression system, there are 4 components: compressor, condenser, expansion and evaporation. In this way there are 4 components are there. The compressor is over here, and as soon as the refrigerant used to get compressed, it used to get condensed. In refrigerator, the condenser is the black coil available at the back side of the fridge, and the condensed liquid is stored, and thereafter it is expanded. I have told you that it is followed by the expansion process. This is called throttling process. The enthalpy remains same, and after expansion it used to go to the freezer. We used to cool it as freezer or evaporator. In this it used to evaporate, and the evaporation give us cooling. That's why there are 4 processes. The 4 processes are discussed in the question coming up. You will see that how these 4 processes are being covered up. So we are going to cover up these 4 processes, starting with the first case, that is the cycle with dry saturated vapor after compression. What they are saying that I have told you earlier also that 4 processes are compressor, condenser, expansion and thereafter evaporation. The compression process used to, because we used to do 2 diagrams, one is TS diagram, temperature entropy, and the another one is the pH diagram, because for each and every refrigerant we used to have one table. Because if they ask the question on R12, they will provide you will solve it by the table also or by the pH diagram of that refrigerant. Means R12 pH diagram you can take and you can solve it from that also. Now what they are doing over here, you can see that over here, starting in the compression process, if the refrigerant is saturated after compression, means you have to reach on this saturation curve. And if you lag behind this saturation curve, then it is wet vapor after compression. If you go beyond this curve, then it is superheated vapor after compression. Means the 3 starting cases means the dry vapor after compression, wet vapor after compression, superheated vapor after compression. These depend on that whether you are reaching this curve, it means you are the vapor is dry after compression. If you are lagging behind over this, means second point is over here, it is wet vapor. And if you cross this curve, means if you are here, if you cross this curve and the point is over here somewhat beyond this curve, the point is beyond this curve, then it is superheated. So one by one we will see and how we will solve this question, because after compression what used to happen, the condensation process is there. We can't stop the condensation process over here, neither here nor here. We have to stop on this curve itself, because this is the liquid curve and we know that condensation means convert the vapor into the liquid. Means we have to stop on this liquid curve itself, and enthalpy at this point is called HF and that's why the term HF3 is used for this, because the enthalpy used to become fluid enthalpy at this point. Compression, condensation, and thereafter the expansion and evaporation. Actual refrigerating effect is obtained during this process, and work is done during this process. So COP of the system become refrigerating effect upon work done, and all the 4 cases, starting 4 cases, what we will see, the COP is given by H1 minus HF3 upon H2 minus H1. If you start with any of the case, means the first question they have shown over here, the question is H1 minus H3 upon H2 minus H1. If you go through the second case, means you scroll down the first case completely and go with the wet vapor, means although the curve is given over here, this is the vapor curve and this is the liquid curve. This is liquid and this is vapor curve. And after compression, you are not able to, the vapor means exit vapor has not touched this curve, then it is called wet region. Same thing is over here, it has not touched this curve, that is why it is a wet region. Wet vapor after compression, they have written also wet vapor after compression. And in this case also, the refrigerating effect will be compressor work, H2 minus H1 will be in the denominator, H2 minus H1, and numerator will be H1 minus H3. Although you will see 3 means 4 enthalpy over here, means 1, 2, 3, 4 enthalpy you will see. But what used to happen, actually there are only 3 enthalpies. One is H1, second is H2, and third one is HF3. Of these, you don't have to use much brain in HF3, because HF3 can be obtained directly from the table. You have to note down the value from the table itself. What the value of HF3 is, it can be noted down from the table, and all work is to be done to obtain H1 and H2. They have also done over the numerical, the question they have solved. If you start the question from this place and continue and continue and continue and continue, what they have done until this place, they have obtained only H1, H2. We know that in the formula what we required, HF3, that is not required, it will be obtained from the table, and whole work is to be done for H1 and H2. H1 again they have written. So from starting the question, they have done the whole work for H1, H2. As soon as they put the value of H1, H2, they will get the COP, because it is important to obtain H1 and H2. If we go through the third case also, means vapor, that means with vapor superheated. I have told you that there are 2 curves. One is for liquid, another is for vapor. And after compression, if you cross this curve, means you have not touched this curve, you have crossed this curve. Now you are in superheated region, and for this region, a new formula will be used. And this is the case, means there are 3 cases. Again, I would like to repeat. This is the liquid region, this is the liquid curve, this is the vapor curve. And after compression, if you stop over here, then it is called wet vapor. Stop over here, then it is called dry vapor. And stop over here, then it is called superheated vapor. So they have told that the vapor is superheated. And again, the formula will remain same that I have told you earlier also. That formula is H1 minus HF3 upon H2 minus H1. For this, HF3 is obtained directly from the table, and whole work is to be done for H2 minus H1. You have to obtain only H2 and H1. The same thing they have done, might have done in the numerical question also, because question is starting from this point. They have started the solution and they have gone down. The solution is going down. They have covered, and up to this point, what they have obtained, H2 and H1. That is required, because the complete question they have solved is for H2 and H1 only. HF3 you can directly get, because if you see carefully the value of HF3, its value is 133, and whatever temperature which is higher is 45. At that temperature, see the value of liquid, because HF means fluid enthalpy. See the value of liquid enthalpy 133. You have to directly put from the table. So that's the nothing. If we go for the 4th case also, because total 5 cases the Khurmi has given. If we go for the 4th case also, means scroll down, and again we are scrolling down, and the 4th case we will come up with superheated vapor before compression. Means before compression the vapor is also superheated, because I have told you that there are 2 curves. one is liquid, one is vapor. And now in the compression period, you are not in this region because you are not between the two curves. You are neither on the curve, you are above the curve. Means you are in the superheated region at the starting of the compression itself. You will be again in the superheated region at the end of compression. Means both the points are in superheated region. The starting itself means before the compression, the vapor is superheated. That is shown over here. Again, the formula will remain same. That is a good thing that this book have maintained. That is H1 minus HF3 upon H2 minus H1. And starting with the question, we know that HF3 will be obtained whichever pressure is higher or temperature is higher, that is 5.3. At that the liquid enthalpy, because HF means liquid, fluid, and liquid enthalpy is 56. So that 56 is to be put for HF3. Hence for HF3, we don't used to have that much brain. All solution is required for H2 and H1, and that's why if you see the question carefully, starting from solution, they have started from this point. Now they are going downwards. They are solving the question. They are again solving the question, and up to this point, they have obtained only H2 and H1 only, because these are to be determined. And the other things are means HF3, which is left out of the 3, only 2 are to be determined. One is, that is HF3 is not to be determined. When we go for the last case, because in last case was used to happen to increase the COP, when we compress the fluid, that is same, compression will remain same, no problem. Condensation process will continue and will end at the point when it becomes liquid, because condensation meaning means we have to touch the liquid curve, we have to touch this curve. They have touched this curve, but they won't stop, because if they stop, the cycle will go like this and refrigerating effect will be this. This is smaller. This is smaller. 4-1 is smaller. Now they will cool the refrigerant further. Further cooling is technically called subcooling. Means we are undercooling. We are cooling more. Cooling more causes the HF3 factor, means the whatever HF3 we were using, to decrease further. Means this time we have to obtain HF3 from the table, and whatever degree centigrade you have gone down, that is to be subtracted. Means in the only in the fifth case, that is the fifth case we are coming up. In the fifth case only, we have to obtain HF3 in a different way. In all other cases, means all 1 to 4 cases, the HF3 is obtained. The HF3 is obtained from table itself. We have to use the direct table. But in this fifth case, the fifth case which is being discussed, we have to obtain HF3 by subtracting certain amount of heat, because we have further cooled. We have not stopped on HF3. We have further cooled the liquid. So these are the 5 cases. For this, we should have the elementary knowledge that how to see the table, because seeing the table is important. And we are starting with one question that I will solve, one simple question for you, and thereafter we will go through other questions also, that how to solve those questions. So starting with the how to see the table and how to solve the questions on this. So we are starting with that. Certain time will be required. Wait a minute. And we are starting with the initial. Scrolling up. Now we were starting with how to see the table. What used to be there when we heat any vapor, means formation of any vapor, whether it is steam or vapor of R12 refrigerant or ammonia refrigerant or water, because water is not used as a refrigerant, it is called steam. The same formula of steam table will be used for refrigerant tables also. Means refrigerant will be also determined from the same formulas. Formula what we have to use, firstly we should know that how the vapor is formed. We should know this. For this, a simple figure is drawn. In this figure, what is the case is, here I have shown the temperature and here I have shown the enthalpy or heat, whatever heat is required. If we heat any liquid and keep on heating it, liquid we have started to heat, when we supply the heat, what used to happen, the liquid stop at a point, means up to certain point the temperature will increase and at a particular point it will stop. That is being shown over here. Liquid is heated, it will consume heat also. This is being shown over here. It has consumed this much heat and this much increase in temperature is obtained, but it will stop. After stopping, it will go, temperature won't rise and it will go in horizontal direction. Means if we add further heat, it won't show rise in temperature of any liquid and it will move in horizontal direction. For example, I am giving you the example of not the R12, neither R12 I am giving the example, nor the example of ammonia I am giving the example of water. If suppose we are heating the water at 1 bar pressure, what will happen? If we are heating the water at 1 bar pressure, what will happen? If we continue heating it, and it will stop at a particular temperature that is called boiling point. In technical, we call this saturation temperature. That is the boiling point, that is called saturation temperature. So that's why this temperature is marked over here as Tsat. You can see over here I have shown this is Tsat. At 1 bar the water used to boil at 100 degrees centigrade. It means it is 100 degrees centigrade. We have considered the water for understanding. If we give some more heat, then it will consume the heat. That is not a problem because we have increased this line H and it will consume the heat. That heat will be shown by HFG, because in this case it won't be fluid, neither fluid nor gas. It will be a mixture of the two. That is why I have written liquid plus vapor. You can see over here liquid plus vapor. In this region I have written. In this region I have written the liquid. Whatever heat it has consumed up to this point, this point is shown as HF because it was fluid. Now it is no longer fluid, it is fluid plus gas. And this heat is called latent heat. In Hindi we call it Gupt Ushma because temperature remains same and thermometer can't sense it. That is why it is called this to this portion, means from this line to this line. In between we are calling is as HFG. Earlier we called HF. Similar is for entropy also we will do. And any fluid whichever is heated, whether it is R12, R13, the above case of water also, if we heat any fluid, it will go like this. At 1 bar pressure, if you heat, it will stop at saturation temperature. Again you will heat, then what will happen? Again you will heat. Again you will hit, then what will happen? It will go at constant temperature, and then if you heat further, then it will enter into the superheated region. Means its temperature will, the temperature of the gaseous form will start increases. Means if you heat any of the fluid, it will follow this type of regime. Means this type of curve you will obtain. Initially both will increase, temperature and enthalpy. Both will be consumed. Only enthalpy will be consumed, temperature will remain constant. That is called latent portion. And after converting into 100% gas, means X dryness fraction is 100%. The vapor is out of the HFG, fluid and gas. The vapor is 100%. It means it will, when the vapor will be 100%, what will happen? It will become dry, and thereafter when you will heat, it will enter into the superheated region, means the temperature will go beyond the boiling point. This can be understood by an example also, because I have scanned one refrigerant table also. You can see over here. This is the ammonia table I am showing over here. Suppose we are heating the refrigerant at a particular pressure. This is the pressure column. And suppose we are heating the refrigerant at a pressure which is any of the pressure, which is for the sake we can see take 4.653. This pressure we are heating. At this pressure we are heating the refrigerant, and what will happen? If we will heat, it will continue to increase in temperature, and it will stop at a particular temperature, and that temperature is called saturation temperature. We can see from the table what saturation temperature is there in the table. What saturation temperature they have given? they have given that temperature of 2 degrees centigrade, means temperature is 2 degrees centigrade. At this temperature it will convert from liquid to gas, vapor, and again we will start heating, continue the heating process. It will convert into 100% gas. Now if you again heat, then it will go beyond the boiling point. The boiling point which was mentioned was 2 degrees centigrade. 2 degrees centigrade was temperature. Now it will cross the 2 degrees centigrade. Suppose we are sitting over here. The point is over here. That is a superheated temperature. Then it would be above 2 degrees centigrade. It might be 5 degree, 6, 7 or 2.1. Anything. But it should be above 2. Now what we have to do, how to obtain the data, because not much data can be obtained from a table. If we see the table, what we obtain, first is the boiling point. I have shown you in the table. At any pressure we obtain the boiling point. This is the boiling point. If the pressure is 1.094, then ammonia will boil at -20. If the pressure is 2.9157, ammonia will boil at -10. This is the main thing. Then what else we can obtain? The second thing, because total 4 things we can obtain from the table. 4 things we can obtain. The second thing we can obtain is enthalpies. The enthalpy, what enthalpy are there? It is being shown to you that 3 types of enthalpy is HF, HFG and HG. In this table they have only shown HF and HG, because we know that HF plus HFG is equal to HG. So HFG is not given, then it can be obtained also, because in certain table they don't use to give. HFG is will be equal to HG minus, you have to subtract HG minus HF. So that is easy, that is not the problem. And similarly in the entropies also we can obtain SF similar to HF, SFG similar to HFG, and SG, that is SF plus SFG. Means entropies are also of 3 types we can obtain, because they have given 2 entropy, but we know the formula, because we know that in the figure when we add HF plus HFG, the complete length from starting from this point to this point, that was earlier HF plus HFG, addition of both. Now it is combined called HG. Similarly for entropy also, if it is SF, this is SFG, then for combined we will get from this point to this point we will get SG, addition of the 2. That's why they only used to give SF and SG. SFG you can obtain directly from subtracting from this. Similarly, volume we can obtain. What is the volume of fluid and what is the volume of gas? Because from the table, if we see carefully, there are only 4 data at any pressure you can obtain. What you can obtain at any pressure or any temperature or any pressure you can obtain. First is the temperature, second, third and 4. 4 data we can obtain, and that's why I have written only 4 datas. Now the formula for enthalpy. If enthalpy, how we have to obtain? Enthalpy of wet vapor. If we start for the enthalpy, what you can see that if the point is in between, means you are heating the fluid at constant pressure, and point is in between the 2 curve, because this portion of curve is called liquid curve, this portion, and this portion of curve is called dry saturated vapor curve. Where they meet, that meeting point is called critical point. At this point, what used to happen? No latent heat is required, means HFG will reduce, and because HFG has a value, this much value was there for HFG. It was shown to you HFG has a value. It has this much value, the HFG of the value that was shown to you. This value was for HFG. If at this point, what will happen? That value of HFG will be 0. This is called critical point. If the point lie between the 2, then the formula for enthalpy will be, what the formula will be? The formula will be HF, because if suppose the point is on this point and we want to obtain, then the formula will be up to this point what enthalpy was there, HF. and we have not covered the complete HFG. We have covered only 50% of HFG. So how to calculate 50% of HFG? That will be X HFG. Means this much HFG we have to take, and total enthalpy at this point will be HF plus X HFG, because we are not sitting on this curve. If we are sitting on this curve, then the total enthalpy will be HF plus complete HFG. But if we are in between the two curves, means in between the two curves, we are somehow, suppose we are, again I am drawing that thing. Suppose we are sitting over here, the point is over here, and we are want to obtain the enthalpy. Then what we will do? We will, up to this point we know the enthalpy is HF. After this point, what the enthalpy is? X HFG, because complete enthalpy is HFG. We have to take X portion, means a fraction is to be taken, because complete length they have shown is HFG. We have to take the certain portion. That portion we have to take. This portion we have to take. That's why we are going for X HFG. If the vapor is dry saturated, means the point is on this curve itself. It was shown to you in question also, means the case was the vapor is dry saturated. The first case was, if you see this point, the point is in between the two curves, then the formula will be HF plus X HFG, that I have told you earlier. And if the point is directly on the curve itself, means you are having the point on the curve itself, then what will happen? If the point is in the curve, then you will add both the length, means HF plus complete HFG, means HF plus HFG, or either write directly HG, because we know that the addition of the two is HG. The same thing is being shown over here when the second case, because three cases of enthalpy are there. How to obtain the enthalpy? First is the wet, means point is in between. Second is point is on the curve, and third is point is beyond the curve. Similarly, for entropy also three cases will be there, and for specific volume also three cases will be there. We are going through the enthalpy. If the point is on the curve, then the formula will be HF plus X HFG, means HFG, that is HG, because we are hitting like this and point is somehow over this point. Then we have to take complete HF, complete HFG, and we have to add both the things. Then only we will get the enthalpy over here. Now if we are somehow able to go beyond this curve, means the vapor is superheated, because only three cases are there and this is the third case. Vapor is superheated, then what we have to do? We know that up to this point the enthalpy was known to us, that was Hg, HF plus HFG. It was known to us, it was Hg. We have to add certain portion of enthalpy also. This enthalpy we want to know, means this length we have to obtain. We know the formula of heat, that is mCp delta T. Mass is 1, because this is, all data are specific. Cp and delta T. This is T sup and T sat. I have told you through example also that if for ammonia table you are heating at a pressure called 4.6353 and temperature of the refrigerant after compression is given 3 degrees centigrade, 3.5 degrees centigrade, then it is superheated. Superheated by what temperature? 1.5, because it has gone 1.5 degrees centigrade above the 2. Then that 1.5 T sup minus T sat is to be added in the Hg, because you have gone this much higher than this. That is the main thing. Similarly, for entropy, how to obtain the entropy? This also three cases are there. When the point is in between, when the point is on the curve, and when the point is outside the curve. Wet, dry, and superheated. Now what they are doing? Again the same formula they are using. Suppose we are heating a particular fluid and we are over here, this point. This is temperature and this is entropy. Now what will happen? Suppose this point is at dryness fraction of 0.6. This is 0 dryness fraction, this is 1 dryness fraction, and this is in between 0.6. Up to this point, means up to this point we know that we up to up to this point we know that what is the case, because from this to this point what is happening, it is taking as a comment. Up to this point we know that the liquid region is there, so entropy is given by SF, because enthalpy was also given by HF. For this complete region, the entropy will be given by SFG, but we are not using the complete region, we are using the fraction. That is why XHFG, SFG. And if by chance they have not given the entropy, because entropy is readily available in the table, if you see, because out of the data what you will get, the enthalpy you will get, entropy you will also get, and volume also get. So there is no need so any trouble. But in RS Khurmi, what they have done, they have not given the entropy, so they have obtained the entropy from enthalpy. They have divided that boiling point in the enthalpy and obtain the entropy. If the vapor is dry, means if you are sitting anywhere on this curve, then what will happen, because we know that up to this point the entropy is given by SF because it is fluid. After this the entropy is given by SFG, and as you have reached this point, you have not stepped on this point, not stopped on this point, not any point, you have reached this point, so we will give the complete entropy, that is given by SF plus SFG, that is SG. So this formula they have used and they are obtained by this formula. If we go beyond this curve, means three cases are there. First is under this curve, on the curve, and beyond this curve. Then up to this point we know the entropy is given by SG. We have to add certain thing. This time we won't add Cp delta T, this time we will add Cp ln T sup upon T set. Natural logarithmic you have to learn, because in Khurmi what they have done for superheated cases, we will scroll down for superheated cases. Superheated cases we are scrolling down. They have not used natural logarithm, they have used logarithmic at the base of 10. That's why they have used 2.3. So this is not the case with us, because in our case what we will do, we will take direct natural logarithmic and obtain the entropy. In this way we know that there are three formula for entropy, 3 for enthalpy, and 3 for volume also. What happen in volume, we have the volume formula is a little bit convenient, because in one volume formula what used to happen, we don't used to use the formula VF plus X VFG, because in this case we have the formula volume of only two things, whether it is liquid or whether it is gaseous state. Since liquid volume is very less as compared to gaseous, because you can see from the table also, just for writing the liquid volume they have multiplied by 10 to power the 3, then they are able to write. If they have removed 10 to power 3, then it should be 0.00140, this value will be. So liquid volume is very less, so it is not taken into account, and directly we use VG, gaseous volume, for wet. If you in wet means you lie between the two curves, the point lie between the two curves. If the point lie on the curve, means this curve, then it will be direct VG, then VG will be used. And if the point is beyond this curve, means if the point has gone and it is beyond this curve, if the point has gone and it is beyond this curve, it is somewhere over here, then what we will use, this is T sup and this is T set. VG T sup upon T set we will use. This is the basic you should know, because formula for 3 data is given. One is enthalpy, 3 cases. One is entropy, again 3 cases. And the third one was specific volume. Well, although all the data are specific, all the data are per kg, because we used to purchase potato and tomato also. They also used to be per kg. Similarly, these data are also per kg, whatever quantity of matter is. If it is 6 kg, 7 kg of refrigerant is there, you can obtain by multiplying that. Means there are 3 things: H, S, enthalpy, entropy, and volume. And for all the 3, we are having 3 formula. It means total there are 9 formula. Now we will cover up some questions, convenient question. We will go through that how to solve the question. We are starting with a simple case so that this can be solved. I have told you earlier that for the 4 starting cases, what they have done, they have used the same formula, means H1 minus HF3 upon H2 minus H1. HF3, because we know that COP is refrigerating effect, H1 minus H4, but at 4 and 3, due to throttling, the enthalpy is same, and at the 3, the enthalpy is liquid enthalpy, because this point is sitting on this curve, and whenever the point is sitting on the curve, you can see whenever the point is sitting on the curve, then its enthalpy is given by sitting on the curve, then its enthalpy is given by HF. That's why it is sitting on the curve, so that's why its enthalpy is given by HF3. Whatever HF4, that is HF3 also, same. Now starting with the question, what they have written in the question, the temperature limit of ammonia refrigerant, means NH3 refrigerant, are 25 and minus 10. We always know that when we operate a system, that in the TS diagram we used to get 2 temperature. This is above temperature, this is below. One is 25 and another what they have written, minus 10. This is minus 10. This is minus 10. Now what else they have written? If the gas is dry at the end of compression, means compression is to be not stopped over here, neither here, neither here. We have to stop on the curve itself, because there are 2 curves. One is liquid curve, one is vapor curve. We have to stop on the vapor curve. And if the gas is dry at the end of compression, that we have completed, calculate the coefficient of performance. We know the formula of coefficient of performance, because for the first 4 cases, unless until there is no subcooling, the formula is this. This is the formula. Out of this, HF3 can be directly obtained. They have written 298. Whichever temperature is higher or pressure is higher, which is higher, 25. Directly note the liquid enthalpy at that. The liquid enthalpy at that is 298. So they have written the 298. Now all hard work is to be done for H2 and H1. Now we are going to do the hard work for H2 and H1. What they have done, what hard work they have done, we are starting, because H1 is between the 2 curves, so the formula for H1 will be HF plus X HFG, because whenever the liquid is wet, I have told you, whenever the liquid is wet, in between the 2 curves, see carefully, in between the 2 curves, HF plus X HFG, that is to be done. This is being shown to you. X is unknown. For this we will generate one equation, and all know from one equation we get one unknown. What the equation they have generated? They have equated the entropy at 1 at entropy at 2. Means they have obtained the entropy at 1, obtained the entropy at 2, equated the 2, and by solving this equation they get X. And from this X they get the enthalpy at H1. Because all hard work is to be done to obtain H1 and H2 only. HF3, you don't have to do hard work. It will be obtained from table. So for H2, what they have done? H2 point is on the curve itself. I have told you from the 3 formula, if the point is on the curve itself, then Hg is to be obtained. This also can be obtained from the table, because if the point is on the curve, upper point H2, upper is 25, and the entropy, if we go through the entropy, liquid heat, latent heat, we will add both the heat, means HF plus HFG. We will add both the heat, 298 plus 116, 298 plus 116.4. We will add both the heat HF plus HFG because they have not given the HG. They should have given the HG, but they have not given. No problem. We will add the both the things and we will directly get the H2, and they have obtained the H2. And this how they have solved the question. The question are very simple. If any query is there, then do call me, and I will in the next lecture will cover up the remaining questions. Thank you.